When you're working with a long Excel file that takes a lot of scrolling, either downwards or over a bit, it can be helpful to lock in either the first or top header row of data so that you can see what you're looking at. It's called freezing panes, and you can do it in Excel. Change to the View tab, click Freeze Panes, and something that we could do is freeze the first column. What it's going to do is freeze column A, and now I can scroll through all of this data. I don't have to forget what category I'm looking at if I'm looking at a long list of monetary figures. To unfreeze it, come back here into Freeze Panes, which again is in the View tab, and click Unfreeze Panes. It's going to remove that line, and now everything scrolls as usual. Something else you can do in Freeze Panes is freeze just the top row. Many times, though not in this sheet in particular, the first row is all column headers, things like first name, last name, dollar amounts, anything. If you're scrolling through a long list, you may forget what those values are. But if you freeze the top row, you'll still be able to see them while you're scrolling. Let's take a sheet like this, which has a lengthy header file. It's more than a few rows. But what I can do is place the cursor, and it has to be on the left side on the edge here where I want the columns to freeze. I can go back to Freeze Panes. And this time I'll select this top option, Freeze Panes. This is based on my selection. Now when I scroll, it's going to keep that whole header file intact. That's 5 rows worth of data. And again, I can come back into Freeze Panes, and now it says Unfreeze Panes. So now it will scroll as normal. Something else that you can do with Excel is split the view, and you can split it either vertically or horizontally. Let's suppose I want to look at this data, and if I scroll a little bit lower, I want to look at this data side by side. I can do that by splitting the view. Splitting the view works similarly to marking the column, in which it has to be on the left side, that is the edge of the screen. I'll place my cursor on the cell that I want to split, and I'll choose Split, which is right next to the Freeze Panes option. Now it's hard to see this line here, but what I do see on the right-hand side is now there's 2 scroll bars. The screen is split, and I can see this data, and if I scroll up, I can see this data, and I can look at them both at the same time, even though they were far away from each other on the sheet. In fact, if I wanted to, I can hover my mouse over this line and even it out a little bit more, just so I can get things all set up. You can see here on the right, the scroll bar is perfectly split in half. To unsplit them, just click that split button again, and it puts your sheet back to normal. I can also do this with a column. This time I'll click this entire column and choose Split again. And now I have these horizontal bars. It's the same data, it's just showing it to me in 2 different panes so that I can see them at the same time. Maybe I want to see February near November. And again, I can click Split again, which is from the View ribbon tab, and it puts everything back the way it was.